Welcome to Walk Away Wealthy. I'm your host, Alan Terrell Gregory. If you're thinking of selling your existing business or looking to untangle yourself from your old business so you can start a new one, you came to the right place. Today, I have a very special guest, Issac Qureshi. Welcome to the show, Issac.
Thank you very much, my friend.
So, guys, I know the listeners here. I want to tell you a little bit about Issac and myself. So, we're in the same cohort / mastermind with one of our M&A heroes, Carl Allen, and we also happen to be featured in the same magazine in the same issue number 18 of Acquisition Aficionado. Just for the listeners. So, Issac, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My background is in banking and finance. I'm a qualified tax attorney, barrister, as they call them in the UK. I started my journey with Royal Bank of Scotland Group. One of my claims to fame is the youngest ever director at the Royal Bank of Scotland Group. I left there when I was 30, believe it or not, a long time ago now. Set up my own businesses from there in tax, in marketing, in property. I floated 3 of my own businesses and been an advisor to another 4 in the last 20 years. That's a long time. And then now my journey is I now own a tax boutique company that helps people pay no tax in the UK and the US. I own an investment company out here in Dubai, which allows people to join into funds and make more money. And as you quite rightly know, we're in the same cohort. I have an M&A business and I buy and sell businesses every day, particularly in the e-commerce space, but also my organization helps entrepreneurs and people to enable them to buy and sell businesses and do a lot of M&A work on a cost-effective basis.
So yeah, I want to get into how and why you guys started particularly buying businesses.
So we started buying, or myself and the team started to buy businesses because we see it particularly as a quick way to growth. So rather than start your own business, I know there's lots of people out there. I know them myself, some of my friends, they love the startup world. I'm probably a little bit later down the line. So I look for opportunities in niches and sectors where I feel I can add value. We look for organizations that are already revenue producing, and essentially we buy the foundations or the first building blocks, and we then coin the phrase of quite a lot, BGS them, build, grow and scale them. So I like M&A a lot because it's buying existing businesses, buying the revenues, and basically we use our skill and our team to, as I say, build, grow and scale them.
And what kind of companies do you buy?
Specialty right now is e-commerce. We've very much immersed ourselves in the e-commerce world. We've been buying and selling those businesses for the last 5 years. COVID was amazing for us in terms of it opened up the world to e-commerce. We have a specialist company outside of M&A that just focuses on e-commerce as well. So it's a sector that I love. It's a growing sector. It's quite low level in terms of investments, essentially. It's low level in DD, but you can scale them quite rapidly.
So when you say e-commerce, does that mean Amazon FBA stores, or does that mean something?
Good question. Good question. I like that one. No, we keep away from FBA like there's no tomorrow. Just so the listeners understand, Amazon, great model, phenomenal. All due respect to Jeff and his team. But for us, Amazon owns your data. It's very expensive because they own the supply chain. And more importantly, what some people might not be aware of, they wait for the trending businesses that you create and then they just replicate them. So e-commerce business, we're very, very targeted, very focused, and our platform is always Shopify. Again, so people understand, Shopify is great. You get access to data, analytics. You can verify all the information very quickly and easily, and it's the most growing platform. It is already the number one. It'll just get stronger and stronger.
So how do you place a value on a company like that?
Another great question. I like these questions. So we're slightly different from most people's model. I say I have an M&A background just to get people give an understanding. My role at the Royal Bank of Scotland Group was to buy and sell banks and insurance companies. So I've been born and brought up with some of the best people in the world in terms of valuation of businesses. Now, the way we sort of value businesses, particularly in e-commerce, I have to say, is based on real profits based over the last 12 months. Basically, in the trade, you call it TTM, trailing 12 months. So we look at the profit of the business over the last 12 months, And our starting point, I'm very open and honest, is one times. Our philosophy is that any e-commerce business is only as good as its last 12 months. In the future, things can change, algorithm change, Shopify changes, Google changes, SEO changes. So we place that value. Okay, that doesn't work for a lot of people selling their business, but for us, it works. It's a proven model. Again, hot off the press, we've just purchased another business this morning. Again, based on a one times multiple. It's a good business. It'll grow and scale quite nicely. It already makes profit. Our job again as a team is to, again, I'll coin the phrase BGS it, build, grow, and scale the business moving forward.
So what's most important for you in an acquisition?
For us in acquisition, our main focus is profitable. It's going to be profitable in the last sort of 12 months. We have to look at opportunities. So a lot of things we buy opportunity based. So we can see some holes in the business that we feel as a team we can plug. That could be, if I just focus on e-commerce in particular, that could be things like conversion, average order value, ROAS, etc., etc. So we look for opportunities in the business. In particular, where we come from e-commerce is the fact that why we do TTM is because we look for the trailing 12 months, we look for opportunities in business, we can see where the current owner's taken it and probably done a very, very good job, making nice profits. Our job is to see where we can improve that one. So it could be conversion, it could be looking at the advertising, it could be lack of social media, could be UCG influencer marketing. We try and spot those opportunities that we can say, okay, great business, solid foundations. Now our team needs to go in there and accelerate that.
So here's an interesting question, and I think this is very interesting for e-com and all acquisitions in general. How do you deal with owners that want more for their company than you are willing to pay?
It's a good question. You won't always win. It's a case of you've got to put across the reasons, come to some sort of build that relationship with them, help them understand why that's your model, explain to them why the 4 times model does work for some, but not for others. Again, I'm not saying you will always buy it for 1 times. Our model, if it's anything more than 1, we'll look for some sort of leverage or earn out or some sort of seller note within that deal. And it's mainly trying to help the business owner understand where you're coming from, how to get a quick sale. Again, we tend to buy a lot. When we do 1 times, we tend to pay all in cash. So again, it's sort of saying to the owner, yeah, you might get a bit bigger value, but you might be waiting 3 or 4 years for the full amount. Why not take the money now, reinvest it, do what you want with it, and get a quick sale? Most of our, we tend to open and close the deal within probably 2 months maximum. By the time we start, maybe 2 to 3 months max at the end of the day. So we're very quick in, very quick out. It allows the owner to sell the business quickly. Equally as important, it allows us to transfer the business quickly so we can maintain that momentum.
So then that leads me to this question. How do you typically structure the deals?
So most of our structure, if it's 1-time deal, it tends to be 99% cash up front. So again, we lock in the owner for a period of time. So let's say it's 100,000 cash dollars as an example. We'd probably give up to 80% maximum on day 1, but then we'll withhold 20% for a period of at least 30 to 60 days while we do the handover. Once you have the full handover of the site and we've got all our questions answered, then we would release the rest of the payment. Anything above 1, we tend to try, doesn't always work, I'll be very honest. The rest of it's then on a seller note. So let's say it's 200,000, we might say, okay, we'll pay you 100,000 up front. The rest might be over a period of 12 months, paid quarterly, for instance. So it depends. It depends on the owner, depends on the deal, depends on where we can see the cash flows. But essentially, that's our box, as they say.
And can you help the listeners understand the difference between an earnout and seller financing?
Yes. So obviously, seller financing is essentially we own the company, we take the profits from the company, and essentially pay that back to the owner over a period of time. An earnout is basically if the company hits certain targets that you agree with the seller. If it hits those targets, then you'll pay out whatever the agreement might be with with the owner. So very similar, just slight intricacies between the two at the end of the day.
And depending upon how creative you want to be, you can actually combine those two. Is that right?
Absolutely. No, you can, and you can combine a lot more along the way. It depends how you want to structure the deal, and or equally how much the rapport, the relationship, and the understanding the seller has at the end of the day. You've got to understand from the seller's point of view, they want as much cash as quick as they want. That essentially is your starting point, and you know what they want. You put yourselves in their shoes and trying to structure a deal that works for them and works for you. My father always used to say, he was a business owner, I've been brought up in business. He always said to me, something I keep very close to my heart, when you do a deal, it's got to taste sweet for everybody. Sweet for the buyer, the seller, the broker, whoever might be involved in the deal. Everyone needs to walk away with a sweet taste in their mouth. If you've done that, you've done a great deal.
I like that. That's good. So do founders typically stay on when you acquire a company?
We tend to only make them stay probably around 3 months max to do any sort of handover. So make sure we understand anything, make sure any hiccups along the way, they're there to help us. Again, part of the negotiating is the whole principle that we get you out very quickly. Therefore, you can retire, do your other business, wherever you need the cash for, you can go away and do it. So we tend not to hold on to founders for more than 3 months. We have a team here that sort of takes over. Most of the reasons for handover, understanding, learning, transfer their knowledge to our team as fast as they can.
Okay. Now, I know the answer to this, but someone asked me this and I thought it was kind of weird, but I'll ask you too. So who's in charge when you acquire a company?
Who's in charge? Okay, so I guess who's in charge is where you are on the journey. So I'd say when you first have a negotiation, the seller thinks they're in charge. Right. When you make the offer, you're in charge. When you're trying to close a deal, it's probably a little bit of to and fro in, but I guess you try and make yourself in charge. But I'd say when you're in charge in a way that helps, as I say, leaves a sweet taste along the way. In the handover process, I guess you and your team are in charge, and then at the end, depends what your model is, whether you're owner investor, owner operator, depends who's in charge. At the end of the day, regardless who you are, the deal and the person who owns the deal, the person who owns the organization, I guess you're in charge overall, and you have overall responsibility, and it's your job as a leader, as the CEO, whatever, as the investor, whichever it may be. It's your role to make sure that you get the best out of your team, people, business, etc. So
cool. So I want to ask you this here. So what can an owner do to make their company more attractive to you and other investors?
The biggest thing for us all the time, and when we look, is make sure your numbers are right. Now, you've really got to understand your business, understand the numbers, understand your profitability, understand what your burn rate is. As any business owner, it doesn't matter what industry you're in or what niche you're in or what sector. As an owner, you've really got to understand your business intimately in terms of numbers. I come from a numbers background, so maybe I'm slightly biased more than anything. But for me, when I look at numbers, I actually, this is going to sound really odd. When I look at a business, I actually don't even look what the product is first, but I just look to see how much money it makes and then make sure the numbers make sense. If the numbers make sense, then I actually look at the product and see if I like the product. Whereas I think a lot of people get hung up about what a company does and what it produces as opposed to numbers, and which I understand and it makes sense. But for me, if the numbers make sense, then have a look at the product. Does the product make sense? If the product makes sense, do you see longevity in that product? Do you see scalability in that product? And more importantly, I think lots of people where they don't talk is an exit in that product. At some point in time, I would probably say, when you're looking to buy a business, we sort of look backwards. What's the exit? If I can see an exit and I can see an exit that's beneficial, then we start to work backwards. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs and people very early in the M&A journey just look at the beginning. But for us and I work with clients as well, I say, good look at the beginning, fantastic, but what's your end goal? If you know your end goal, it means you can map the whole route along the route. No end goal, how are you going to map out your journey?
Absolutely. So what type of data besides financials does an owner need to present to you to be considered for an acquisition?
So in terms of the presenter has got to give us a very one-page business plan. It's got to give us the structure of the company, basically the ins and outs of the company as they see it, also what their growth plan will be. Now we've been in sector quite a while, so we have a checklist of information. So internally that we share, we have an interview form, we have a due diligence form, we have a checklist form. So we have very set process on how to get the information out to clients. So that'll be things like their background, how they grew the company, what would be their strategy when they leave, why are they leaving, why are they selling, what is their corporate structure, the ins and outs of the organization, in terms of people, structure, loans. Basically, we have what we call a pre-acquisition questionnaire. It's something we've developed over the years. It's probably 200 questions plus 10 pages long that when we come down the due diligence, they've got to complete. So it is very detailed. But again, being from a legal background, bought and sold businesses for 20 odd years, and having a phenomenal legal team behind us for our big acquisitions. It's something we've developed that helps us check everything along the way. But that comes with experience. Hence why we have an M&A company that we've tried to make that away from the e-commerce side to help companies and entrepreneurs and people to do that due diligence on a cost-effective route by using the skill of our team and our partners.
So what makes you pay more for one company than another, assuming they are in the same industry and have the same revenue profits?
Where we would pay more is where I see more growth. So when we do our valuation, it's about getting, when I talk about G&S, growth and scale. So sometimes I'm willing to take more of a punt, think, I'm able to scale this a lot more and grow it a lot more. However, the model still fits. So it still fits our one-time model, and then I'll counteract and try and anything that's above that model, try and squeeze as much equity value as I can, i.e., deferred payments. Depending on the more we pay, the longer we try and defer, and less regular the payment. So for me, it's opportunity costs. So am I willing to pay extra because I see an opportunity that's bigger than the other company might be evaluating? If we can, then I'm probably a bit more flexible. If I can't, then walk away. What I'd say to anyone, never chase a deal. If it doesn't fit, doesn't work, walk away. I promise anybody listening to this, you'll get another deal. There's always deals out there. Never rush the whole thing. The greatest power you have is to walk away.
So now I want to have a little bit of fun. So what role does AI play in the M&A space, and where do you see it going in the next few years?
Wow. So in our M&A process, it plays no role right now, but I'm probably pretty sure that's going to change over the next 12 months without a doubt. AI is great. Whether it replaces people, we'll wait and see. What I'd say to people, AI is a great tool. It's still reliant on the input that we give it. So as long as you ask the right questions, try and get the right evaluation, make sure you critique it the right way, you'll get the right information. I'm 100% sure that'll change over the coming years. But right now, we use AI to very minimal effects, but it's based on verifying some of the information that we want to do. In the M&A world, it's not 100% useful because in M&A, you're evaluating numbers, history, sectors, niches, market reports, etc., which AI right now is not 100% good on, but I'm sure that's going to change. So I'd say watch this space. Whether it removes people, probably to an extent it will, but I'd probably say it make people more efficient rather than remove people.
I agree with that. That's perfect. So we're wrapping up here soon. I got 3 more questions for you. So what's your best advice for someone looking to sell their business or transition to a new one?
So if someone's selling their business, make sure you're what we call you're seller ready. Make sure you have a data room, make sure you have all your numbers, make sure you have you provide as much information as you possibly can. To give a very real example, people come to us and say we're selling their business, then they send me a P&L done on Excel. No problem with that, but then say, where's the background, where's the history? No, give me the information that you need. So I always say to people, if you look to sell your business, make sure you're seller ready at the end of the day, as in seller ready, buyer ready. So if you were buying that business, what would you want from there, whatever you would want as a buyer, that's what you need to provide as a seller. Other people looking to obviously do the acquisition journey, I'll say just make sure you, again, have all the information you need to make an informed decision. An old mentor of mine always said, if you seek anything in life, always seek understanding. Really, really understand what you're getting into, what you're buying. Look underneath the bonnet as much as you can. And I'd say go out and get as much advice as you can, as much resources as you can. Get partners, advisors, try and build a really great team around you that can help you on your journey. And a mentor. I've had mentors my entire career. Since the day I started in work, I've always had someone I've always looked up to, always someone who's advised me, I could always go to. Even my recent mentor unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, but even to recent history, I still had a mentor that I worked with, talked to all the time.
What's one of your favorite quotes and why?
One of my favorite quotes, I have lots of favorite quotes. So in an acquisition perspective or in terms of just generally?
I'll take general.
General. Okay, I'm going to take one from my father who taught me, and he always taught me money talks, wealth whispers. So if you're in the world of acquisitions, there's lots of people out there who give it the big I am, and he says, well, you'll find in life the people who really are doing well, really make a difference in the world, really provide a service, who give mentorship, who really try and help the next generation, they whisper. The ones who talk and the ones who shout tend to not really have that infrastructure at the end of the day. And for my other quote, I'll take from my mentor, Bob Proctor. He always taught me, what service are you going to provide to get the compensation you seek? And I think that's where some people go wrong. It's all about what you give to determine what you receive. A lot of people are always focused on what they get rather than what they give. And I can assure everybody listening to this, I've been through it myself, and I've studied this since I was probably 24. The more you give, in terms of whatever that may be, the more you'll get back from the universe, as I say. And therefore, my two favorite quotes that I have: one very personal from my father, one very personal from a very, very close friend and mentor.
I like that. That's awesome, especially that Bob Proctor one. I really like that. How can people get in touch with you?
Great. If you want to get in touch with me, best way, I'm on LinkedIn. So that's always a good way. You can always email me. I'll give the email. It's Issac@IssacQureshi.com. And Isaac is Issac. I apologize. You can blame my parents for giving the Hebrew version of the name due to my background. But yeah, you can contact my email, obviously, or LinkedIn. I'm on social media, but the best one's either LinkedIn or on email. Then once we connect, I'm a great user of WhatsApp. WhatsApp's always a good one once we connect first of all. By all means, anyone wants to get in touch, I'm happy here to help.
Awesome. Well, Isaac, listen, thank you so much for being on the show. I truly appreciate you.
No, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I hope your listeners do too.